The woman in the dust. The prairie stretched wide and endless, rolling in pale gold under the late afternoon sun. Dust swirled with each step of Jacob Hartley's horse, the air dry, the wind restless. He tugged the brim of his hat lower against the glare, his jaw set hard as the outline of his family's ranch came into view. It had been 5 long years since he left. 5 years since he'd sworn never to come back to the house that had broken him, to the land that had demanded everything but given nothing. His father was gone, debts unpaid, and neighbors said the Hartley place had rotted down to nothing but walls and ghosts. But blood ties don't break easy, and so Jacob had returned. The ranch house stood like a skeleton of what it once was, shutters dangling, paint stripped by wind and sun, porch sagging under its own weight. A place forgotten by men, left to coyotes and storms. Jacob swung down from the saddle, boots crunching on the brittle earth. He tied his horse to the fence post, though the fence was barely standing, and stepped toward the porch. Each board groaned under his weight, like the house itself recognized him and resented his return. He pushed the front door open. Hinges screamed, dust clouded into the air, and the smell of abandonment rushed to meet him. But the house wasn't empty. Jacob froze. In the dim light, movement stirred. At the far end of the parlor, near the fireplace, a figure rose, slight, feminine, wrapped in a worn shawl. His hand went to his revolver. "Who's there?" The figure stepped forward into a shaft of light. She was young, no more than 20. Her face carried softness untouched by hardship, her eyes wide and unafraid. Her plain dress was neat despite the dust, her bare feet silent on the floorboards. Jacob's voice was low, rough. "This house ain't yours." The young woman tilted her chin, meeting his stare without flinching. "It is now." He frowned. "Now what's that supposed to mean?" She took another step closer, and in the silence her voice was clear, steady, yet carried the weight of something deeper. "You're going to be with me." The words struck him like a bullet. Jacob blinked, certain he hadn't heard right. "What did you just say?" "You're going to be with me," she repeated, softer now, but with an odd certainty, as if it weren't a choice at all but a fact written into the air. Jacob studied her, suspicion clawing at him. She didn't look dangerous. She looked innocent, untouched by the world's cruelty. Yet her eyes carried something stronger than innocence, resolve. He narrowed his gaze. "Girl, you don't know me." "I don't need to," she said. "I waited. I knew someone would come. And now that you're here, you belong with me." Jacob's throat tightened. The house that had stood empty for years suddenly felt alive, haunted not by ghosts, but by this strange young woman whose presence filled every shadow. Part of him wanted to demand answers, to drag her outside and send her on her way. But another part, the part that had carried nothing but silence for too long, hesitated. The wind howled through the broken shutters, rattling the glass. Jacob stood in the doorway of his past, staring at the woman who had claimed it without permission, and realized that nothing about this return would be simple. She was a stranger. She was innocent. She was trouble. And yet, her words echoed in his chest like a vow he wasn't sure he had the strength to deny. "You're going to be with me." The vow of belonging. Night had settled over the prairie like a heavy quilt. The moon spilled pale light across the sagging porch, and the empty house creaked as though it were remembering voices long gone. Inside, a single lantern burned on the table, casting warm circles on the walls. Jacob Hartley leaned against the frame of the cold fireplace, arms folded, eyes fixed on the young woman who had unsettled his entire world. She sat across from him, shawl pulled tight around her shoulders, her gaze unwavering. Innocence lived in her face, but there was nothing fragile in the way she looked at him. Jacob finally spoke, his voice gravel. "You've got about 1 minute to tell me who you are and why the hell you're in my house before I send you packing." Her lips curved, not in mockery, but in a quiet kind of certainty. "My name is Anna," she said. Jacob's brow furrowed. "Anna who?" "Just Anna. I don't need another name. I only need this place. And you." The calmness of her words cut sharper than any shouted demand. Jacob shifted his weight, uneasy. "You can't just pick a man like that. Life don't work that way." Her voice softened, almost like a prayer. You think I picked you today? No, I've been waiting for you. I knew you would come. Jacob's jaw tightened. Ow! Anna lowered her gaze briefly, fingers lacing together. I had nothing, nowhere to go. I prayed, and in dreams I saw this house, empty, waiting. I saw the man who would return to it, carrying pain in his heart, but not yet broken. I knew if I waited here, he would come. And when he did, he would be mine. Her eyes lifted back to his, shining with quiet fire. You. Jacob's chest felt heavy. He wanted to laugh it off, call her a fool, tell her the world was harder than dreams. But something in her voice cut through the bitterness he had carried all these years. You don't know what you're asking, he muttered. Yes, I do. She rose to her feet, crossing the room with unhurried steps. Her bare feet whispered against the boards. She stopped in front of him, close enough for him to see the steady rise and fall of her breath. You're going to be with me, Anna whispered. Jacob swallowed hard. His hand flexed against his arm, his whole body tense. And if I say no? Her lips trembled, but her voice did not. Then I will stay anyway, because I know you feel it too. The words sank into him, dredging up truths he had buried. Loneliness, emptiness, the need for something more than land and silence. He stared in her wide eyes, and, damn it all, he did feel it. The pull, the belonging. Jacob's defenses cracked. He lifted a hand, calloused fingers brushing her cheek. She leaned into his touch like it was the most natural thing in the world. Anna, his voice was rough, strained. Her hand closed over his. Don't fight it. Not anymore. The ranch house, empty for years, suddenly felt alive again, filled not with ghosts, but with something new, something fierce and fragile all at once. Jacob bent, his forehead resting against hers, and for the first time since he was a boy, he let himself breathe without the weight of sorrow pressing down. Anna's whisper came like a vow. We don't have to be alone anymore. Jacob pulled her into his arms. The kiss that followed was not born of haste, but of release, of two broken halves finding the place they were meant to fit. When dawn crept across the plains, Jacob sat on the porch steps, boots planted in the dust, Anna resting against his side with her shawl wrapped around them both. The sun painted the horizon in colors he had nearly forgotten, and the land stretched endless, waiting. He looked at her, this strange, innocent woman who had claimed him without fear, who had turned his empty house into something alive again. You were right, Jacob said quietly. Anna tilted her head. About what? That I was coming back here for more than land, more than debts. He touched her hand, rough thumb grazing her fingers. I came back for you. Didn't know it then, but I see it now. Her smile bloomed, simple and pure. I told you, you're going to be with me. Jacob let out a breath, half a laugh, half a sigh. For the first time in years, the word home meant something again. The prairie wind swept across the ranch, but this time it didn't sound like mourning. It sounded like promise. And together, on the broken porch of an empty house no longer empty, they began again.